My name is Father Grant Gorddard. I'm a priest for the Archdiocese of Perth. I've been quite fortunate that the faith has always been something that's been central to my life. I grew up in Bunbury. I've got an older sister, I've got two younger brothers, and it was really my parents who were the first to give me that seed of faith and nurture that seed of faith for me for the first 20 years of my life. I've always had a strong technical side to me, so eventually I moved from Bunbury to Perth and I studied electronics engineering at Edith Cowan University in Joondalup. After university, I worked with a small engineering consultancy in Perth and developing and supporting various computer control systems that are used in the industries around Western Australia, and I did that for about 6 years. My actual calling to the priesthood, that was something that happened while I was working as an engineer. I used to go to Mass in the morning at 7 o'clock in Applecross, and for the balance of that hour I would spend in prayer. So I'd pray the rosary, or I'd just have some quiet time in reflection. It was one particular morning, I was reflecting on a couple of things. First of all, I was just reflecting on just how generous God had been in my life, just how much God had loved me, how much God had given me in my life. And at the same time, I was also reflecting on the great need that exists in our society today for people to come to know the faith, to know the love of God, to experience what I'd experienced in the faith, to experience God's love. And it was at that moment when it occurred to me, perhaps for the very first time, that maybe God was calling me to be a priest. And it was interesting, I was quite surprised actually, because I had a sense of peace with that. If that's what you want me to do, Lord, I'm happy to do that. Eventually I resigned from work and I went over to Melbourne, and I spent some time in Melbourne exploring religious community life. I was thinking initially about, perhaps I was called to religious community life. Whilst in Melbourne, I also did some studies at the John Paul II Institute for Marriage and Family. I did a Master's in Theology over there. Eventually I came to realise, with the help of a spiritual director, that God was calling me to the diocesan priesthood. So with his help, I wrote back home, I contacted Archbishop Barry Hickey, and I applied for St. Charles Seminary for the following year. Interestingly, my younger brother, Father Stephen, he was also thinking about the priesthood at that stage. Now, before I'd gone over to Melbourne, we both knew that each other was thinking about the priesthood. Our family knew about it, there was no surprises there. But the fact that we applied for the same seminary at the same time, that was something that was quite a surprise for us. And it's been a real blessing for me. It's been something very special to be able to go through my period of formation towards the priesthood with my brother, and then to be ordained with him at the same time on the same day. That was a tremendous blessing, a tremendous gift. And even now in the priesthood, that continues to be a gift, to be able to be a priest with my brother, serving in the Archdiocese together, supporting each other, encouraging each other. It's something that I really think is a great marvel of God's providence in my life, and it continues to be a great blessing.